Everybody, hey. Welcome back to Jonesboro Rotary. We'll bow our heads while we get started with the invocation. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We thank you for the opportunity you give us to be Rotarians. Continue to be with us as we continue to work for the good of the community. Bless this food to our use and thy service. In Christ's name we pray, amen. Welcome back. Hope everybody had good holidays. I did. Enjoyed the 2-week break. Not that I
could be, thank you.
Missed y'all 2 weeks. I did.
Yeah,
but
it is.
kind of glad to
That's me.
have a break and have everybody back here. A couple things I want to mention before I get Van to run around here. I think district conference registration is now up on, or it's going to be next week. Next week or this week. Registration is open for district conference. District conference, which is the end of April, is going to be at Myrtle Beach this year. Take a look at that. Get an opportunity. I'll be going, and it'll be. Went last year. It was a lot of fun. So keep that in mind. And also, in June, the international conference is going to be in Atlanta. Right now, Larry is going to that for sure. If anybody else has an interest, let us know. We'll
join about 30,000 people.
Is that all? 30,000. And I think Larry is going to open up the Mercedes Stadium down there. So,
you're letting Larry speak?
I think he's going to open it up.
Is that right?
I've got announcements.
So anyway, just keep that in mind. Registration for that, early registration I think is over, but I think we've paid for your registration. But anyway, we can, if you're interested, let us know. We'll get some more into that. Van, you doing okay today?
Yes, sir.
Good. Your holiday was good?
That was awesome.
Good.
Very good. Thank you.
Glad to hear that.
Glad to be back.
Okay, today we have some guests. Neil, you have a guest. Could you please introduce your guest to the club, please?
Yeah, this is Don Douglas, and this is his first meeting, or well, actually it's his second meeting. He came to the meeting that we had out at Carolina Trace, and he filled out his paperwork to become a member today. So I think that we'll be able to induct him. You want to say a couple words about yourself, Don?
No.
Talk about the snow in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Oh, no. I don't even think about that. I'm more worried about the snow tomorrow night. But I'm looking forward to being back in Rotary. I was a member up in Pennsylvania for about 10 years. Enjoyed it, and had thought for some time about getting affiliated down here, and when you all had the meeting at Trace, I went and said, I'm interested, so thank you.
Thank you.
Don, what do you think about next week? Can you come and join? Because the board just approved you, and close your ears, because the club's going to approve you right now.
You're about as formal as we were back then.
They're very relaxed. Let's get going. So any time you want to come in, we got the bin ready for you.
Okay.
Chris, do you have a guest today?
I do have a guest. I have with me Greta Marie Zanstra.
Woo!
Greta is an accomplished actress and educator. She is the education director at the Temple Theater, and every day that I'm not here eating lunch, Greta and I are usually someplace else eating lunch, so I figured, come on. Greta runs the education department at the Temple. She's been there. This will be their third summer.
No,
And,
fourth summer.
Fourth summer, and at some point, I'd like to get her in so she can talk about what's coming up this summer, because we've got the shows identified. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is Greta.
Hi.
Greta, thank you for doing that program we had at Edwards last year.
Well, we would be happy to go back again. We're just starting to plan our school tour. We have stuff coming for individual students and for our summer stuff. So if there's anything that anyone is interested in for themselves or for the school they're associated with, I'd be more than happy to get you any information you need.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for all you do for the temple and for the community. The only other guest we have today is the president of the Sanford Club. Let's give a big welcome for David. Do we have any brags to start out the New Year's? Anybody got anything? There we go. What you got?
Man, I'd like to brag on people that turned out bright and early on Monday morning to cook and celebrate the New Year. We've got some good pictures. We've got pictures of Robert and Larry in their Jonesboro Rotary uniforms. But I believe the best picture we have is a queen of Jonesboro Rotary stirring a big pot of black-eyed peas. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. Yeah, yes, Nash. Yeah.
So I'm brag on us had a very nice New Year. I went with my grandparents, my parents, my brother. We all went to Greenbrier, so we spent our New Year's in Greenbrier.
Nice.
And then my second one is I am finally pregnant with my second child.
Now there's some real celebration there. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us, Nash. That is fantastic.
Are we still doing brags?
Yeah.
Yeah, David, what you got?
Well, not sure. In case y'all didn't notice, or haven't heard, Vanderbilt is 8-6 right now. We beat Auburn last night. Matthew got 33. He has his last 3 games. He got 25 against Dayton, 23 against LSU, and he got 33 last night against Auburn. They play Alabama Saturday at 7. So when you're snowed in and your satellite and cable is not out, ESPNU. He'll probably have a little bit tougher time from here on out because they're not going to let him stand outside and shoot anymore. Somebody's going to have to go argue for him. So he's doing well. We are going out next weekend to Nashville for the Tennessee game. Tony and I are going to that. And the next Tuesday, I am driving down to Athens and watching play at Georgia. So that was just a kind of a. My sister said that she had to go out by herself, and I said, no, you don't. I can probably get off work for that. And one of my bucket list things that I have done was I was sitting at the house the other day, and I want to go to a game at Rupp Arena. So they're playing at Kentucky on February the 28th. So I booked a flight, called my sister, and I said, I hope you can get me a ticket. So he's having a good year so far. They have a new coach. They're starting to gel, so that's my brag.
Well, that's neat. Thank you for sharing that.
What do you think?
Hey.
And I'm just glad that the Tide didn't have to play Clemson last week. Because Clemson looked damn good.
Yeah.
But the Tide's gonna roll.
Even better this week.
Thank you.
Anybody else got anything they want to share with the club? Yeah, Chris.
All right, so this is a Rotary exclusive. It just happened this morning, so nobody else knows. Yeah, help spread the word. The Malpass brothers, who have become a big deal in the bluegrass world, so big, in fact, that they're touring nationally and they have an elaborate booking system. We got a commitment from them this morning. They're going to play the Temple on March 10th with sweet potato pie, and we're really, really excited about it. Hope to sell the place out. The Malpass brothers, if you haven't seen them, check them out online. They're a big deal.
When is James Gregory coming? I got to check for you.
March 11th.
March 11th.
It's a big weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks in large part to All Digital Printing with their sponsorship of the show.
You hadn't got my check yet, though. Robert, what you got?
We don't have tickets yet.
Fisher Davis.
Commissioner Davis, F-I-S-H-E-R Davis.
Correct.
Want to remind everybody about the White Elephant Sale. It's our last Thursday of this month, and of course what that is an auction that we do during our regular Rotary meeting, and we have a lot of fun. The proceeds go toward T-shirt purchases for the children at Edwards Greenwood, and so they look forward to those t-shirts every year, and we fund it through proceeds of white elephant sales. So you gotta bring good stuff. You can auction it and have fun doing it. But I'm counting on y'all to bring good stuff. So that's, and bring yourselves on that day, bring money, bring guests, and we'll have a good time doing it. And while I'm standing up, I just gotta tell you what a big Greta fan I am, because I've seen her in her productions at the temple. She signs, she is.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
right on.
If you did not recognize her here, this is the star of those productions, and so, I'm thrilled to have her.
Well, thank you.
I have to totally agree with you there. You rock. You do.
Thank you.
Al. Yes, sir.
Well, I was gonna, they stole some of my thunder. I was gonna brag on myself. I was able to walk out of the theater after watching Greta do that sign stuff. With Smoke on the Mountain. And I laughed so hard I couldn't stand up. Myself. Thank you.
That was great. Okay, I got one to brag on. Went up to Ohio. My father-in-law wasn't doing too good. He's doing pretty darn good, all things considered. On a little different note, my dad got put in the hospital Friday night, the Friday before Christmas, with a urinary tract infection. So he had to spend Christmas at CCH. Had a good experience, had a good time. But he's like, hey, I don't want to be here. We said, Dad, that's a good place for you to be, because if you were at home, you might not be with us anymore. You might be in heaven somewhere. So he got out. He had to go to the doctor today, so I'll bring you up to speed on him. But my father-in-law is doing fantastic. He really is. Slowly but surely, he's getting all his functions back together again, and being able to be more productive. But anybody else got anything they want to brag about or share with us, or anything to come up, announcements or anything? Back to you, President David.
Thank you, Dan. Really is good to see everybody here today. Thank you all for being here. Now I'm going to turn it over to Doug.
Okay. I won't talk very long. I think everybody knows David Foster. He's helping me out. I called him kind of last minute, and he said, yeah, I've got a couple of programs that I could do. So I'll turn it over to David.
Well, thank you, Doug. I think I did a minor league baseball presentation for you guys in the past, one of the Three Stooges, and another love of mine is North Carolina barbecue. So we're talking about pork and barbecue. So we'll get started here. A little presentation I put together just for some grits and giggles. When you think about North Carolina barbecue, you really think of the tomato and vinegar. And you have people who are on both sides of the aisle. Or you're people like me who like both. And so growing up here in North Carolina, I was used to Eastern North Carolina barbecue. I had a lot of family living in the eastern part of the state. So having Parker's and Bill Ellis barbecue growing up, ate a ton of that. But then when I lived down in Ward County, I wasn't too far away from Lexington. And I really fell in love with Lexington barbecue as well. So we're going to talk about the two distinctive styles. I threw in another little map here. Down in South Carolina, they do have a mustard-based barbecue sauce. I don't know if any of y'all are fans of that. We've lived in South Carolina, traveled in that area. But you can buy T-shirts about the debate between tomato and vinegar based. So we'll talk about it. Eastern style I kind of grew up with. And when I did my undergraduate in East Carolina, I was kind of in a hub of a lot of different barbecue places in North Carolina. But these are just think of the line of barbecue. Think about where Chatham County is. If you go north and south, where Chatham County is, all points east would be typically your vinegar-based, so Lee County would be in that barbecue places you find here in Lee County. And then tomato-based from about Chatham County on to the mountain. Eastern style is the style I grew up with. I had a lot of Bill Ellis and Parker's barbecue. I had an aunt and uncle who lived in the Wilson area, ate a ton of barbecue. You can see those trucks, they travel around the country doing barbecue. Alan Sons up north of Pittsboro, Wilbur's down in Jonesboro, Clyde Cooper's there in Raleigh, White Swan there in Swansboro, Sam Jones, which is a newer place. His grandfather started the Starlight Inn, which is in Ayden, North Carolina. And Sam Jones, they got a lot of hot press. He was featured in Our State magazine recently, and he is the third generation barbecue master. And when you first opened this restaurant there on the edge of Winterville and Greenville, the line was out the door for months when he first opened. I mean, huge fan. King's Barbecue down in Kinston, right off Highway 70. Bee's Barbecue, News and Observer, the Raleigh paper, did a story about 15 years ago, the best barbecue places in North Carolina. And they ranked Bee's as the number one barbecue restaurant, according to News and Observer. It's a hole in the wall. It's there in Greenville. It's about a block behind Pitt Memorial Hospital. And it's a true hole in the wall. You'll have white collar, blue collar, no collar folks there. The line is usually out the door, but it's some of the best barbecue I've ever had. Howard's Barbecue down in Lillington, Garner's up in Rocky Mount, Starlight, as I said, in Ayden. Barbecue Lodge, used to be a barbecue lodge. If you lived here in Sanford for a good number of years, what, about 20, 25 years ago we had one? Barbecue Lodge used to be beside where Biscuitville is. Used to be a barbecue lodge, but the main one's up in Raleigh. So these are Eastern style barbecues. Smithfield's actually is a chain. There's one here in Sanford. It's a chain of about 40 restaurants. It actually started in Smithfield, North Carolina, and it's Eastern style as well. It's kind of the McDonald's of the Eastern style barbecue because they franchised and built stores. There's about 40 of them throughout the state. Eastern style barbecue, your typical plate. I don't know if I've got a good connection here. The picture is not that crisp. Typically, we'll talk about the sauces and whatnot in a minute. Typically, you'll see just as different from Eastern and Western barbecue is the coleslaw. Typically, Eastern style, you'll have a mustard or cream-based coleslaw. You'll have Brunswick stew. You can find that about any barbecue restaurant throughout the state. Stewed potatoes. One of my favorites, you typically only find in Eastern style, are corn sticks. Corn sticks are a little different from hush puppies or cornbread. They are a little denser, a little drier. Some folks don't like them because of that. I personally love corn sticks. I can sit down and eat a dozen of them at a time. Typically, it's what you find in Eastern style restaurants. And so Barbecue Lodge in Raleigh, Parkersville, Ellis, all those restaurants will have corn sticks, as well as hush puppies and other things in the menu. The barbecue sauce itself, this is a debate, the vinegar base or tomato base. And actually, the recipes aren't that much different. Now, each restaurant will have their own kind of recipe, but typically it's an apple cider base, cayenne pepper flakes, salt, pepper, brown sugar, and usually a dash of hot pepper sauce, usually a Tabasco or a Texas Pete. A lot of places in North Carolina will actually use a Texas Pete, because Texas Pete is actually made here in North Carolina, so Tabasco is out of Louisiana. So typical recipe is kind of cooked down a little bit to dissolve that salt and the sugar, and you've got the traditional East Carolina barbecue sauce. Now, Western style, also sometimes referred to as Lexington style or tomato based. These are some of the great places. My favorite's the Lexington Barbecue. Sometimes known by its nickname, the Honey Monk. They're in Lexington, North Carolina, right off of Highway 64. I think second or third generation running it now. Hills in Winston-Salem, Little Richard's. They have a couple of restaurants, that and Speedy's, both. Little Richard based in Greensboro, Speedy's in Lexington, Barbecue Centers in Lexington, Smiley's in Lexington, Hops over in Asheboro, Hershey's over in Burlington. So kind of the centers around that Lexington market, the triad market, where you find these styles. Stammy's, if you've ever been to Greensboro Coliseum for a sporting event or a concert, right across the street from Greensboro Coliseum and Stammy's. Western style is more of a tomato base, and typically they refer to their coleslaw as a red coleslaw, basically the same formula, but they use actually the same barbecue sauce that they use in their barbecue in their coleslaw, instead of a cream or mustard base that you typically see in Eastern styles. And you see hush puppies, Brunswick stew, stewed potatoes. If you notice, the recipe is almost the exact same as an Eastern style, except for ketchup. That's really the only thing that's added. It's a little different. It's a thicker viscosity than you'll find with just a vinegar base. And folks that love it, and they will preach it and say Eastern Carolina is trash, and Eastern Carolina folks will say Lexington style is trash, and you have folks that are in the middle that just love both. This is what you would typically find in a restaurant or barbecue pit. The bottom picture of the smokestacks is from Lexington Barbecue there in Lexington. This is Sam Jones Barbecue down on the right. That's Sam Jones himself. He's third generation pitmaster. And typically, Eastern Carolina's whole hog barbecue. And typically, if you talk about Lexington or Western style, they use butts or shoulders, typically. And you'll see the pitmaster in the kitchen. And a lot of times, some of the more contemporary kitchens actually have this open kitchen concept. You can see this chopped barbecue right in front of you. Can't talk about barbecue. I mentioned Sanford's own little take on it. Ron's Barn, down the road. It's kind of traditional style. My favorite, which is no longer in business, is Bud's Barbecue. Everyone eat at Bud's out in Cumdon. Yeah, good barbecue. I threw the Still Pig in here. It's not what I would traditionally call a barbecue joint, but they do have a pretty good pulled pork sandwich on their menu. And so I kind of threw that in. Obviously, Smithfield's here on Corner Boulevard, and Stubbs and Sons. The same folks that own Allen and Sons runs Stubbs and Sons here out in Tremont. Another one of my favorite restaurants, if you just go just south of us in Moore County. Everyone been to the Pick and Pig?
Yes.
My son, when I lived down in Pinehurst, after church, I would meet my folks. They would drive down from Sanford, and we would drive up from Pinehurst and meet in Carthage halfway. And we nicknamed it, a lot of folks in Moore County would call it the Moore County International Airport. But it's the Gillum McConnell Airport. It's a small little airport, really small. Basically, you got these planes that fly in, and on a Sunday afternoon after church, there's folks flying in. They fly in from Raleigh, they're flying from points east, Fayetteville. They're just flying and eat. You can sit there and talk to a pilot about his plane. So it does, they'll take you out and tour, let you tour the plane, but basically you're eating right off the runway. And there's a little museum there with some World War II memorabilia. McConnell was Air Force pilot in the war. Also, you may have seen them, they have a kiosk every year at the State Fair, and they call it a barbecue Sunday. Basically, it's barbecue, baked beans with coleslaw on top. And so they call it barbecue Sunday.
Now, David, that's what's
pretty
called pulled
tasty.
pork.
Yeah, it's pulled pork. It's not chopped pork. It's pulled
So
pork.
it's like, pulled pork's not really North Carolina barbecue. It is.
Well, it is. A lot of restaurants will have a choice of either chopped or pulled. It's typically chopped, but you're right. Pig and Pig is typically pulled pork. I love it. I always get, when I go to a restaurant, a barbecue restaurant, I always get the exact same thing. I get a barbecue sandwich with coleslaw. So some places serve it to you on a hamburger bun. Some of it's Texas toast. But I get the same thing. Sometimes it's chopped, sometimes it's pulled pork. To me, it's all delicious. My belly can tell it. This is one of my favorite places. You get there in about 20 minutes from here. If you're up in the Triangle area, my favorite one in the Triangle area is Danny's. It's right off of Tryon Road there. It's across from Regency Park. It's in a little strip mall. He also has another branch in Morrisville, I think one in Durham as well. But their barbecue sandwiches are served on Texas toast, delicious. City Barbecue in Cary, the Q Shack up at North Hills, and one that's gotten a lot of fanfare is the Pit, and that's in downtown Raleigh in the Warehouse District. They've been on the TV Food Network. They've done a couple of features on it. It's what I call more of a gourmet barbecue place, but it is a traditional whole hog barbecue with a mixture of sauces. I don't really classify any of these restaurants either Eastern or Western style. It's kind of a mixture of all. They will offer different sauces with it. A couple of college students, I believe it's UNC Charlotte, they actually did a college project where they developed this barbecue map, and they found out people wanted it. And so they created this marketing campaign. They've sold this. A lot of times you go into different restaurants, you can buy these maps. I know the Pick and Pig down in Carthage sells these maps. And I haven't seen a place in Sanford unless anyone has that sells the maps, but you can go online and they sell them off their website. But they've created a little money maker here selling these barbecue maps, and they have, yeah.
David, you mentioned Our State Magazine, and they had a whole issue on barbecue.
Yeah.
And they had a link where you could download an app, which I did, BBQNC, and it has, lets you, what's the nearest barbecue place to me? Wow.
I love it. I love it.
It mentions the historic barbecue trail.
Yeah, it goes from the eastern part of the state. Brian Mims, you want to know who Brian Mims from WRL? He actually did a story. I can pass this around. He did a story about the historic barbecue trail, and he starts there in about Greenville, Ayton, where Skylight Barbecue, and he kind of winds around through the Greensboro area all the way up the coast. So I'll pass that around. But that's the story about Brian Mims. But as he mentioned, Our State Magazine, this was just in February this year, did a barbecue issue. Sam Jones, some of the newer contemporary ones, as well as some of the traditional barbecue places, were mentioned in their barbecue issue. Also, a couple books. One's called Holy Smoke. It's about North Carolina barbecue. It's kind of considered the Bible of North Carolina barbecue. It mentions a lot of different restaurants here in the state, as well as one of my favorites is it's 140 different restaurant critiques of different barbecue places throughout the state. And it's the Tar Heel Barbecue. So a couple of different publications. You can feel free to take a look at those. Also, Southern Living Magazine this past year did a 10 must-visit barbecue joints in the state. And number one, I've not been to this one, was Red Bridges Barbecue in Shelby. Anyone been there? Okay. Number two was Lexington Barbecue in Lexington. So, but these are barbecue places in both North and South Carolina. Southern Living did a best one. And also the author of Holy Smoke did an article that appeared back in March in the New York Times. And he did one on North Carolina on the politics of barbecue. It's kind of an entertaining story of what politicians say and don't say about barbecue, depending on what part of the state you're in. So a nice little entertaining story as well. But that was a New York Times story about North Carolina barbecue. So, yes, sir.
Who wrote Holy Smoke?
Holy Smoke is by John Shelton.
Okay.
Bob Gardner, a lot of folks, Bob Gardner's written a couple books. You may be thinking of Bob Gardner as well. He's written a couple of books on North Carolina barbecue. Any stories of any barbecue joints maybe I didn't mention or show that may be a fan favorite of yours?
Unfortunately, I've been on a lot of those in Eastern North Carolina.
Unfortunately.
The one that I haven't been able to get to, and I've been there 2 or 3 times, is Bees.
Bees
My
is,
son works in Greenville and lives in Greenville.
uh-huh.
And every time we've gone, and we're talking at 1 o'clock, 1:15,
Lines
they're
up
out of
there.
barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, this guy's the last one to get to play barbecue.
Yeah. Lines usually out the door and around the building. It's a hole-in-the-wall center block building. You would think, do I really want to eat here? But it's some of the best barbecue you've ever eaten. It's like I said, it's about a block behind the hospital there. You'll find doctors and lawyers and college students and, like I said, blue collar, white collar, no collar. But I've eaten at every one of these in the eastern part of the state many times. Any other barbecue? Yes, sir.
Up by Bragg, there's a place called Mission Barbecue. It's real good.
Oh, down in the Fayetteville area?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to try that, because every time
It's
someone
more
says,
like
what's a good barbecue restaurant in Fayetteville, I said, there's not one. So maybe there is
It's a
one.
little more like that. There's beef and chicken and
Okay, like brisket and all that.
brisket, a whole bit. Plus pork, of course.
Sounds delicious, I'll have to try it.
As a Texan, I have to remember when my wife.
Uh-oh, we got, brisket.
When she starts talking about barbecue, I have to remember, I have to reset my brain. She's talking about pork.
Absolutely.
And nothing else.
Yeah.
I have heard that there is a small difference between Lexington and Western. What's the difference?
Sometimes it's smoke, sometimes, typically, a lot of these restaurants will use different woods. Typically hickory is one that you'll see a lot of restaurants use to smoke. Also the sauces, even Lexington style barbecue sauce, the amount of tomato paste you put into it, and some of the spices. Every restaurant has their own little tweak on the recipe.
But Western and Lexington are pretty much
the same.
I was in Denver for a vacation, and there was a restaurant that everybody said go to, and they had Carolina pulled pork on the menu.
In Denver?
In Denver.
Okay.
Now, what would make that Carolina?
Good question. It may have just been the way they smoked it for a number of hours. May have been some of the vinegar-based sauce or something.
Not all the pork barbecue is infused with vinegar while it's cooked.
No. Typically when it's cooked, it is not. It's during the chopping process. They'll add some into the chopping process.
You want to see something funny, go to a wedding and invite a bunch of West Virginians, say, you got barbecue? They think they got beef. They sit there and they put that vinegar in their mouth, it's like a spitting contest.
And so you kind of had to grow up here in North Carolina to really appreciate pork barbecue. Any other comments? Yeah, Van.
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm sorry.
I moved down here and my friend said, hey, go to the Stony Brook steeplechase with us, right?
Yeah.
So we went over to Johnsonville and we met up with some people that had a horse farm over there. We all got and did the experience of going to the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. But they said, why don't you come back tomorrow for a pig picking? I've never been to a real pig picking before, and when we rolled up there, my wife saw that pig with that apple sticking in its mouth, and people were actually picking at it. I said, "That's a pig picking." True story.
True story. Yes, sir.
Have you ever heard the story about how where the term barbecue comes from?
I don't know. A lot of definitions.
When I first moved here, it was back in '83, '84. There was a barbecue place where the Walgreens is now down there on.
Pick and pig. Pick and chicken.
Yeah, it was down there in the corner of where the Walgreens,
Right.
not the
Yeah,
one by the
Pig and
post office, but the other one down there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was in there getting some barbecue, and I saw the pastor from the local Lutheran church, and he said, "Come join me." So I sat with him, and he told me the history of barbecue, and I can't swear this is fact, but a Lutheran minister told me, so I said
Somewhat factual, okay.
But he said
He's
the
not
term,
careless with the
he said the term barbecue was from the Scots. The Scottish people would, for a celebration, a wedding, or any kind of celebration, would cook an entire hog from the bar, which was the whiskers on the chin of the pig, to the queue, which is the tail. So barbecue means cooking the whole hog. And so they went on explaining, he says, so barbecue chicken and barbecue beef is really a contradiction in terms.
There you go. But typically in North Carolina, obviously, if you mention barbecue, you're thinking of hog. If you're from Texas, yes, you're thinking of beef, other parts of the country. If you're from the Northwest, even salmon. I think Van and I were talking about that. That you barbecued salmon up there in North Carolina.
And there's a place in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania that called Ritz's Barbecue, and theirs is turkey.
Turkey barbecue.
Turkey barbecue.
I'll have to try.
Big Western style.
There's a lot of great, about every small town, eastern part of the state, you'll find a little niche place. And I just kind of shared some of my favorites that I've tried many times.
There was one family here besides Buzz Barbecue that had a lot of barbecue, and that was called Nipper's Barbecue. Jimmy Nipper, which was a highway patrolman, that was his father that actually ran Nipper's Barbecue.
Oh, beautiful.
And they had some good barbecue back in the day.
I mean, I almost wish we had barbecue for lunch today. Your mouth kind of watered after you talked about it a little bit. But seriously, whether you're in the eastern part of the state or western part of the state, all these are highly recommended. You will not be disappointed. Typically, there'll be a little hole in the wall, but if this parking lot is full, you're in for some good barbecue.
That's right.
That's all I have.
Thank you, that was good.
Make sure you do the valet, trust me.
Everybody will probably be trying to find a barbecue restaurant tonight. Thanks, David. I'm not sure if you guys noticed or not, but Jim Miller is here today. I found out a good way to keep him quiet.
Keep him busy.
Didn't realize he was here. Jimbo, would you like to get up and tell us what's happening here today?
Well, we're starting. This is our official start date, and I need to tell everyone that you did a yeoman's effort. We have sold 330 tickets. We have collected $6,600, which is absolutely fantastic. And the superstar to date is Mr. Gilliland, who has sold 57. And you're almost out. You want some more? No, so that, I mean, it's really a fantastic start. I want to thank you all very, very much for stepping up and really taking it seriously. And so that's really it. Oh, if you have a business and you would like to put a poster in your window, Mr. Spivey has been kind enough to print several of these, and they're at the back near the badge place. And where you return your badges, you can pick one up and put it in there if you feel like a need. Any questions? Why don't you go first? Get the
little one out of the way?
Yeah.
All right.
Get the little drawing out of the way.
Let's see who's going to play today. Let's see if my favorite. We got 70, I think it was $78. 76, so 38 for the winner. Last four, 5, 5, 1, 7.
How many box ball tickets you want down?
Let me buy one more before you draw there.
Do you still have a couple, don't you, or
I
do you
still-
need one?
I still have a couple.
Yeah, well, fill out one of your own.
We can wait.
He's feeling
That's
lucky.
right, we have time. We have time, we're in a good place.
Hey, let's give Jeff a big hand for doing that week after week. Takes a banker to get that much interest. It'll make you feel bad if you don't
The
get a
plots are
$5
really
bill.
good. The plots are excellent now.
Don't worry about it.
You can draw that one.
I don't know if anybody else.
Jim,
It has been-
let
Spin that wheel.
Pardon?
Let Greta draw it out.
Sounds like a plan.
Someone have to do.
Yeah, but you can tell which one, right?
Don't reach in here and start.
Right now.
Reach in there and pull one.
One from the middle.
Mr. Ramsberger.
That's 5 tickets.
That's my big, baby.
He only has to win 3 more times to get his money back.
But anyway,
Okay, you got that, Nash? All right, we're off and running. Thank you all very much.
Good start, guys.
Nice
Thanks,
going,
Jim,
John.
for all
You
you've
bet.
done. And everybody for selling tickets. Anybody have anything else for the good of Rotary today? If not,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you all. And, Neil, you won the raffle, right? We'll let you stand at least the full way test.
Four-way test, things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to see you.